The company I chose to pitch is HDFC Bank, which is located in India. Their ticker is HDB. For my screening process, I wanted to look for a company with an economy that was growing. Over the last 5 years, India's GDP growth rate has increased almost 7% annually. The second thing I wanted to look for was a country where the company would be able to grow and improve. India has 124 million adults who are underbanked, and as the biggest and most well-known bank, HDFC has a great opportunity to reduce that number and bring in potential clients. And finally, I was interested in a country that had a good COVID-19 vaccination plan. India has an aggressive plan to come out of COVID-19. They have a mock vaccine shot to prepare themselves for giving the vaccine. Their plan is to have everyone vaccinated by the middle to end of August. A quick overview of HDFC Bank. They are the largest bank in India asset-wise. HDFC provides services in retail banking, wholesale banking, and treasury options. HDFC makes most of its income from interest earned. It's 83% compared to the other income, which is 17%, and most of the other income is from fees and commission from their credit cards portfolio, in which they are the leading player in India. The first driver is double whammy from COVID. COVID overall has not been bad for HDFC. Like I stated before, they have 2 vaccines and everything is getting back to normal. With everything getting back to normal, HDFC Bank has faith that the loan loss provisions will reduce with a growth rate of 6% in 2002 and an average rate of 9% over the next 5 years. They've seen a growth in their loan portfolio over the last half year by almost 4%. The second driver is high interest rates from global inflation. HDFC Bank assumes there will be an increase in inflation change coming in the upcoming year. With the inflation rate increasing, this drives the interest rates up, giving an opportunity for the net interest margin to grow. The net interest margin was 4.3% in 2020 and is expected to grow to 4.6% in 2021 and 2022. The final driver is the weakness in the US dollar. During the last recession, the Indian rupee ended up gaining 17% value on the US dollar. Because of the growing state of the economy, the future growth of India economy, and how it has the lowest unemployment rate it has had in two years, their economy is looking very strong. This will end up weakening the US dollar. With the new US stimulus package of nearly $2 trillion, the US dollar is expected to weaken. This will provide an opportunity for US investors in HDFC Bank. For my valuation, I did a 10-year dividend discount model using a terminal growth rate of 4%. The 4% is higher than normal, but because of India's GDP growth rate, I thought the 4% would be very fair. Using a 3.5%, I also had an upside, and using a 3%, I also had an upside. The weighted average cost of capital was 7.83%, coming to the price target of 94.91 per share. I also did a PE multiple evaluation. I did a blended average of PE multiples of its competitors. I weighted that average because one of their competitors had a 64 PE ratio, so I took that completely out and weighted the other 4 competitors, giving me a value of 152.4. Lastly, I did a P over TBV multiple valuation conducted from the blended peer average, giving me a target of 102.37. This overall gave me an upside of 34.79 with a price target of 107.90. Because the PE multiple valuation was so high, I ended up taking that completely out as well, just to see what my upside would be, and it ended up with a 20% upside as well. One risk for HDFC Bank is cyber attacks. HDFC Bank has had 2 minor cyber attacks while updating their websites. Nothing ended up coming out of it, and it was resolved very quickly. They now have something in place called Digital 2.0, which helps eliminate this type of stuff. The second risk is an economic slowdown. The pandemic ended up hurting the economy. Although it looks like they are going to come out of it strong, their GDP did drop immensely, almost 8%, and the unemployment rate increased drastically as well. If this would happen again, their economy could be in trouble. They do not see this happening, as vaccines have already been given out to the frontline workers and people who are over 50. The final risk is the new CEO. They have relatively a new CEO with just almost about a year of being CEO. He was never a CEO before this, and having to run a company on top of dealing with COVID is very challenging for any CEO, especially a new CEO. Their CEO is Sachida Jadikhan. He has been CEO for HDFC Bank, like I stated, for less than a year. He was with the bank for 24 years before this as the head of finance for 10 years, and then having 1 year of just being under the old CEO, Aditu Peru, who was there for 26 years. The current CFO of the bank is Sriman Vadantan for the past 2 years. Before then, he worked at Citibank for 27 years. He was the managing director and CFO for 7 of those years. My recommendation is to add HDFC Bank to the AIM International Fund with a price target of 107.90. As the leading bank in assets in India, the leading player in cards, and constantly increasing their branches to rural areas, I think this is very possible.